so we didn't really get to ask Marcia Clark everything we wanted to know about the O.J. trial back in the day when you were really there in person, live, your whole self. Yeah. So we're keeping you here for people who are online, all right?
Or holding you hostage.
Hostage a little bit, okay.
I mean, I would like to ask you a few things about it. I mean, I polled the audience. Most of these people were around during the time of the trial, correct? Yes. And so they know about it. And I'm sure that you're annoyed that you lost.
Annoyed. Okay, right? That's one way of putting it.
Angry, upset, disappointed.
I think devastated would be more
devastated.
Like
But let me ask you something. Do you think that you blew it, or was it a trial that could never be won?
It really, you know, with the benefit of time, realized that there was no winning this. There was a combination here of the racial issue and celebrity that was just, I think, insurmountable. That doesn't mean that we might not have, with a better judge, gotten a hung jury. We might have done that.
What was wrong with, you know, the judge?
He was foul towards you.
He was foul towards me. That was a bad thing. And that undermines you with the jury, and that's a bad thing. But beyond that, he was so struck with celebrity that every ruling went crazy because he was more concerned with the press being in love with him and getting to have celebrities in his chambers. Steady stream of actors and actresses in and out of chambers all day long, every day. And then he sat down for a 6-part interview with a television reporter during the trial. I mean, everything about the attitude was wrong. That's not what a judge is supposed to do. And the evidentiary rulings went the wrong way as well, because he was afraid of the press not liking him. He was afraid to alienate the defense, because that was the famous side of the loss of the counsel table.
Did you object to that at the time?
I can't. I can't object to him wanting to entertain celebrities in chambers, because that's his prerogative. What I can object to are the rulings, and I did. But
I mean, but ultimately, I mean, OJ's in jail.
He is.
Did you think that they prosecuted him for this last go-round because of dropping the ball on your court?
No, you know, the crime that happened in Las Vegas was captured on videotape. It's kind of hard to miss that one.
So you needed a videotape for yours to actually do it?
I don't know if that would have worked. I just don't know. You know, you guys got to remember what the climate at the time was so tense and so terrible. It was right after the Rodney King riots. Yeah. And I reminded the jury, remember, we prosecuted those officers. We were trying to convict them. We did not succeed. But
you can't blame the black community, really, for being the way they responded, because the police had a whole history of planting evidence, and the LAPD had, you know, a shady reputation. You can't blame them, really. They're suspicious. They're skeptical of what the police are doing to this day.
To this day, and were before. Yes. Yes. And were before. I mean, I was trying cases downtown Los Angeles for 10 years before the Simpson case. And it was always an issue with an African-American defendant. And I would never deny the reality to them. I would tell the jurors, look, I get it. Not this time, though. Here, I'm going to prove to you why this time it's clean, it's fair, and it was okay. But then you had so many more issues happening in the Simpson trial, and that just was not enough. And, of course, we had the lovely Mark Furman, which...
Yeah, the lovely Mark Furman.
Well, I got the chance to talk with Marcia at break, and I had asked a question because I read, and you used the word devastating, you know, that this is something that I'm sure haunts you. 2 people are dead. There wasn't anyone brought to justice. But I was wondering if you had been gratified at all in the fact that you knew all of some of these facts that are coming out, not only in this miniseries, but in the 30 for 30. Like, things are coming out that finally you fought for. And they said, no, you can't tell them. No, the jury will never see this. No, this will never happen. And now all of us and everyone tuning in are like, oh, there's got to be a feeling of, I fought that uphill battle. Maybe now people see why it was unwinnable.
You know, I think I get that sense, and I do have that hope, because the series really does show the way no other has, no others, whatever anybody's ever done about the Simpson trial. This series really does show you, you know, what we were up against and just how tough it was, and the reasons for it. And that's why I was saying, you know, it's a good thing. It's going to spark this discussion that we need to have about the reasons for the division, the racial divide when it comes to the view of the trial and the verdict. We need to talk about why that is, because there are reasons, and they're not stupid. And it's not because the jury, you know what I mean? When people say, oh, it's all payback, it was not all payback. For some. For some. I mean, one of the jurors left the jury box with the Black Power salute, so after the verdict. So, you know, yes, for some it was. But for others, it was simply, after all the craziness that happened in that trial, the Mark Furman tapes, spewing racial epithets, which was one of those awful days of my life, I think that there came a point where you couldn't trust anything. You know, what do we believe?
Yeah.
And Johnny, you know, said to the jury, if you can't trust the messenger, you can't trust the message. And I really understood. And I hope everybody can get it.
This
know?
was really the first time that people were watching a trial every single day because there wasn't social media out there. People were glued to their televisions. But now, today, all of these trials are reality shows.
Yes.
And you think that that's a good thing, right?
Yep, in a way. Let me say this. In the immediate aftermath of the trial, I really thought cameras should be kicked out of the courtroom because it turned into such a circus. I mean, and people were outside selling T-shirts with our faces on them and mugs and keychains and whatever. It got, you know, and...
At least give you a percentage.
right.
Don't be mad.
Let me get some kickback. Sorry.
Yeah, we never did. Anyway.
You mad.
It was a circus. It was a
Too
circus.
crazy. And the cameras were right there in the corridors. I mean, I'd walk out of the courtroom and they would be literally bang in my face. Bad. It's bad. And the other part of it is that they would be televising hearings where the jury wasn't present. And so, you know, even if they wanted to avoid the television, you know, the news or whatever hearing we were having, they couldn't because it was
jury,
blasted everywhere.
But they were sequestered, weren't they?
They were sequestered, but they had family.
TVs?
They didn't have TVs for that. They had, but they had family visits every Friday, and so the defense would put on a show every Friday about whatever story they wanted to put out, and it could go right through into the family visit. So, what I would say is this. Cameras in the courtroom are a good thing because I think we should see how justice is administered. People need to know what's going on. But what we should do is control it. It shouldn't become a circus. And when the jury's not in the courtroom, the camera shouldn't either be.
I want to ask a question. I find it interesting about what's going on in our society today with football players or sportsmen having domestic violent cases. And I asked you this afterwards. Do you feel like they can get away with it because of the OJ trial? Like, why?
I was thinking of that with Bill Cosby, too. What happens if he's a celebrity, too, if he comes to trial?
Do they feel like happen? Yeah, what's going to happen? Do they feel like they're like, just, I have a block, you can't mess with me?
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. Now I think when you talk about that, I think about the celebrity card, and I also think about the kind of people who play football. It's a very violent sport. It requires that kind of adrenaline rush thing, and so there's a certain kind of person who plays a sport. Don't get me wrong. I do watch football. I enjoy football, but I do think that that's why you see that happening as much as you do in the context of these athletes. I don't think it's because they feel they're untouchable. I don't think there's that much thought involved. Yeah. I think, you know, it's a spontaneous thing. You know, I'm mad, bang. But they do that all day for a living, too. So you got to factor that in.
You think they would learn. You think they would learn from OJ and everything that's going on. Like, calm it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we don't want you to continue to feel this rage against the whole thing anymore. How do you deal with that?
Oh, it's not rage.
Well, what is it called? Devastation? You're still
PTSD.
Yeah, a little PTSD.
Yeah. I don't know how you could let that go because your name.
Well, you have to in order to live in this world. What are you working on personally to let go of the PTSD?
You know, I don't know that there's a way to actually completely recover because it was 15 months of nightmare. I don't know how you know, I don't know. But I certainly have gone on with my life.
I have a great
because
therapist.
I had to.
I have a great therapist. Do you need a therapist?
I would. How about a hypnotist? I'd love that.
We could do that for you.
Let's
Lose
figure that out
weight.
for her.
I gotta like to lose weight, all kinds of things. But I think I did have to get past it. And one of the ways that I did was building a new life and doing a new entire thing. So I went to my childhood dream of writing crime fiction.
That was good.
That was a good
little alternative way to deal.
Are you still in touch with like Christopher Dart? Are you in touch with some of the people from the?
At this point, no. It's been 20 years. We stayed in touch for a while, you know, but then everybody kind of goes on with their lives.
Right.
Okay,
thanks, Marsha, for coming back again and extending the interview. And you know what? I'm going to plug your book again. I'm plugging your book.
Okay.
It's a fifth crime novel. It's called Blood Defense and will be released in May. And thank you all for sticking around, the audience. And don't forget to hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks, everybody.